Hi, I'm Charles Gooch with the Kansas City Star. I write the Full 90 Soccer blog. I'm joined here by my colleague, Sam McDowell. He is the Sporting KC beat writer. Normally during the week, I do a mailbag where I shamelessly solicit questions from my fine Twitter followers so I can have a bunch of ideas to write about during the week. I thought we'd bring a visual component to that this week and kind of bring in Sam. So I solicited earlier this week for some good questions, and I got one from Jay Sparks on Twitter. He says, actually his name is Sparks Jay. He says, a level of expectation exists for this team and front office now. Within the framework of MLS's rules, how do they maintain or exceed what they've already achieved? Sam, go ahead.
I think the interesting part of that question is, MLS is unlike a lot of other soccer leagues in that we have a salary cap in the MLS. So within the framework, I think that's the part of the question that we need to address, which is obviously we know what they can do within the league, but what can they do outside of the league as far as additions? We know that they at least talked with Rafael van der Vaart out of Bundesliga. Lately, those talks have been diminishing because of the price difference, and some of that could be posturing. But I really think that deal is going to be dead here in a little while. As far as what other additions could they make outside, obviously, you've got to again work within the framework of what the MLS offers, which is 3 designated players. Now, Sporting Kansas City already has 3 designated players with Graham Zusi, Matt Beasler, and Roger Espinoza, but they've built up so much allocation funds from transfers in, like Kai Kamara, Yuri last year. They got some allocation money when Aurelian Collin went to Orlando in that trade, so they can buy down one of those 3 guys' salary and create a new designated player spot. Will they do that? I think that they will look at options to do that sometime this summer. Peter Vermees has told me they've looked in South America for a couple of players there. And when he says South America, he means guys that are native to that land rather than guys that are currently playing there. I really think that the options are going to be, more of attacking sort of players. And, I think you may be able to expand on that as far as where do you think that Sporting maybe needs to address those options?
Yeah, so far this year you've seen Sporting Kansas City and Peter Vermees start out the gate. They experiment with a couple of different formations, a couple of different tweaks. They brought in a guy like Christian Nemeth, who's a striker from Hungary, formerly of the Liverpool Academy and Liverpool system. And he's come on and he's been a little bit injured and knocked, and he's had taken a couple of knocks. He's not been able to play as much as they probably wanted to in that attacking half. But what you've seen Kansas City do so far is kind of fix the defense a little bit, which is something that Peter Vermees really takes pride in doing, is kind of fix their defense. And I think it's a very competitive league these days with teams spending a lot of money on a lot of big-name national team talent like Michael Bradley and Clint Dempsey, and not going into Italy and picking up Giovinco in Toronto, guys like Obafemi Martins in Seattle. So I think a lot of people see that and start thinking, oh, Sporting Kansas needs to start spending money and going out there and like dropping a lot of cash and trying to bring in these guys. When what's worked for Kansas City in the past is a good solid defense, a good base of developing young stars. Finding the next Yuri Rosell will be super important. I mean, Yuri Rosell was a 20-year-old guy that no one had ever heard of from Spain, and then they sold him for a pretty hefty fee to a Champions League team in Portugal.
Which gives them the flexibility that they have now.
Exactly. So I think for them the key is to try to find some undervalued assets, some people that guys aren't looking at as much, bring them in, develop them, continue this system that Peter Vermees has installed here, which is play solid defensively, develop young talent, and try to get enough goals to get yourself forward. And whether Rafael van der Vaart or a player like that fits into this teamwork, that's something that's going to be a nice challenge for them to do. But if they have that base of a solid defense and can win games at Sporting Park, which they did this last Sunday, which is something that they've not been able to do very much, that's the framework which you can build going forward in this league.
And I think that makes you a more attractive destination as well, because players that play overseas, and we talked with Roger about this when he came back from England, that he said guys want to come over here and play. But, guys want to play for winners, too.
Yeah.
So when you're a team that builds your foundation first, which I think Vermees has done a very good job of doing, then it just makes it a more attractive destination for those overseas players to maybe come here, and maybe the money isn't quite as much of an issue.
I hope that answers your question, Sparks J. This has been Sam McDowell, Charles Gooch. Thanks for watching.